Eventual victory seemed certain, but Truman was under pressure to find a quick end to the war.
Wouldn't the Japanese surrender?
Surrender was against Japanese honor. But with 140,000 civilians dead in the firebombing of Tokyo alone, the idea of surrender was being considered. And the Americans knew this. They'd broken the Japanese diplomatic code.
We are secretly giving consideration to termination of the war.
So the Americans didn't have to drop the bomb. The Japanese would have surrendered without it.
Highly possible.
So why would Truman want to use the bomb?
For a very different reason. This is a dramatization of a conversation that took place with the president's personal advisor, James Burns. It clearly supports interpretation too.
Of course we will use the bomb on Japan.
But isn't Japan already essentially defeated?
Gentlemen, can I tell you what really worries me? Russia's spreading influence in Eastern Europe. Romania, Bulgaria, Yugoslavia, Czechoslovakia, Hungary are all living under a Russian shadow.
I don't understand this. What's this got to do with Japan?
Japan was part of a bigger diplomatic game being played out by the two superpowers. The Americans felt they had to use the bomb to scare the Russians into meeting their demands.
Mr. Burns, I fully share your concern with Russia, but I can't imagine that by rattling the bomb...
It will be impossible to persuade Russia to remove her troops from Poland unless she is impressed by American military might. Now, our possessing and demonstrating the bomb will make Russia more manageable.
Burns also feared that unless the Americans used the bomb, the Russians would join the fight against Japan. Truman was kept informed by his defense chiefs what the likely effect of Russia joining the war might be.
Now, it's clear from our intelligence reports that the impact of a Russian entry on an already hopeless Japanese may very well be the decisive action, levering them into capitulation at that time or shortly thereafter.
But wouldn't the Americans want that?
Not if they could finish the war without Russia's help. They feared that Stalin would demand a say in post-war Japan, just as he was doing in Europe. Truman was in a very difficult diplomatic situation. The Russians were still his allies, and a wrong move now could simply mean more trouble later.
I would urge direct negotiation with the Russians on the nuclear issue. If we fail to approach them now and merely negotiate with them having used this new weapon, their suspicions and their distrust of our motives will increase.
But in spite of the warning, President Truman gave the order for the bomb to be dropped. And then, on August the 9th, a second bomb was dropped on Nagasaki. 35,000 people were killed instantly.
The final decision of where and when to use the atomic bomb was up to me. Let there be no mistake about it. I regard the bomb as a military weapon and never had any doubt that it should be used.